You guys found something? What did you see?
Legs, and you can see telling with the foot, like bones.
Like a person?
It's like a human?
Yeah.
The body is discovered at the bottom of an embankment.
Oh yeah, it's human.
It's an indication that it's very personal and potentially a crime of passion.
We're a complete shock. There will be no reason for her to be murdered.
We discovered there seems to be some sort of love triangle, and she's involved in it. I start confronting him with what we found on his cell phone. He was just adamant that he did not see her, he wasn't there.
I believe her words are, "I don't want to go down for this." At that point, she tells us her final version of what happened.
She felt very much betrayed by him.
When there's emotions involved, it doesn't take much to start a storm.
It just really turns into a blame game.
Monday, July 13th, 2020, Waterbury, Connecticut. At 9:36 a.m., police receive a panicked phone call from a New York resident.
Waterbury Police, dispatcher 428.
Yes, my friend, I'm calling because we can't get hold of my friend.
We get a call from a Galani Madongo, and he is located in Staten Island, New York at the time, and he's concerned for his girlfriend, Rachel Sabatala.
She lived in Waterbury and worked in the area past the CNA.
I last spoke to her on Friday night.
Was there anything wrong?
We had just said a notification, you know.
You guys got into an argument then?
Yes.
He reported that he had an argument with her and hadn't heard from her in 2 days.
Okay, you're looking to do a wellness check?
Yes.
All right, we're going to send an officer out there as soon as possible.
Our patrol division responds to Rachel's apartment.
Nobody was home, so a landlord allowed them access into the apartment, but they didn't find anything out of the ordinary.
And at that point, we learned Rachel had a roommate.
But she had been away for weeks as a traveling nurse.
Rachel's roommate hadn't heard from her.
We reach out to all the hospitals in the area, and Rachel wasn't there.
As soon as police arrive back at headquarters, they reach out to Rachel's family to gain more insight into the 33-year-old's life.
Rachel's parents, they lived in a remote part of South Africa, and they would wait by the phone for an arranged phone call they had each week, typically 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. on Sundays. And around July 10th, the Sunday following, she never called.
And we spoke to her sister, who also informed us that she hadn't heard from her for a period of time as well.
Obviously, they were very concerned. It was not, her normal being to not make contact. So try to, piece together who she was and learn about her life and what she did.
Born and raised in Ikahang, South Africa, Rachel Lorado Sebetlela moved to the United States in 2012.
She was here working at various jobs to support her family back home.
I first met Rachel back in, I would say, late 2019, early 2020. She was a nurse's aide. She used to live in New York, and then she came down to Connecticut. We worked as caregivers, and I worked for a nursing agency caring for elderlies. And Rachel did the same thing. She got along with everyone that she worked with. Everybody loved Rachel because she was very quiet, very reserved. But once she got to know you and opened up to you, then it was just welcoming. And to spend time with Rachel, you will love her because she always had this beautiful smile on her face, very jovial, very, very fun. I saw Rachel the week before, and she told me she was going to be taking time off for her birthday. I was looking forward for her coming back. So as the time went on, I realized that she was not back. And I kept querying, where is she? Why is she not back? When more than a week went on, we were just like, wait a minute. It's a little kind of weird, because she doesn't take off that long unless she's going back home.
Over the course about the next couple weeks, there's calls from a few more friends expressing some concern.
So the officers thought it best to file a missing persons complaint.
We were able to put a ping out on Rachel's phone to try to locate her, but there was nothing coming back. The phone is off. There's no signal.
As Waterbury detectives dig deeper into Rachel's life, they discover that she had filed a report with the New York City Police Department just 3 days before Galani reported her missing.
At this point, all we had was that her and Galani had a domestic issue right around July 10th.
Galani lived in Staten Island. She had been spending some time with him there on her break from work.
So a handful of detectives responded out to Staten Island, spoke with the NYPD.
There was a confrontation, an argument, and Rachel called the police.
Knowing the history that they just had a domestic, we were concerned that Galani could have potentially been involved in Rachel's disappearance.
According to the report, Rachel claimed she feared for her life when a screaming match broke out between the couple.
So there was a police response from NYPD of an argument they had, and we were able to view some body camera footage from the New York officers that showed Rachel leaving there from New York.
She did end up taking a ride back to the city of Waterbury, and we were able to confirm that ride through her Uber records.
So we started to tighten our time frame as to when something possibly could have happened to her here in Waterbury.
6 weeks pass with no new developments in Rachel's disappearance, so detectives attempt to locate Rachel's cell phone again.
We did a ping again, and this time we were getting a location, and that ping was coming back to Galani's residence. So now we were highly suspicious.
Detectives immediately travel to Galani's New York apartment. Inside, they find Galani, but Rachel is nowhere to be found.
They make contact with Galani, but he explains that he was actually the owner of Rachel's phone.
He tells detectives that he had taken the SIM card out of her phone and replaced it into another phone.
So it wasn't Rachel using the phone, he was using it.
He definitely wasn't helping his cause by removing SIM cards. We thought, was he trying to cover his tracks?
So that made us that much more suspicious of Galani.
However, detectives see no sign of foul play at Galani's residence.
So our initial thoughts were that maybe Galani was involved in, harming her, but we didn't have the evidence we need to figure out what happened to her.
We don't have a body, so we're just trying to really figure out what's going on at this point.
Over the next month, concerns continue to mount.
Then in the end of August of 2020, her roommate, who had been out of town for some time, came home.
When she made her way back to the apartment, she realized that something seemed off.
I believe plastic bags, paper towels were missing. There was a rug near the bathroom area that was missing.
She even thought that there may have been some blood splatter by the sink area. It alarmed her enough to call us.
We ended up doing a search and seizure warrant for Rachel's apartment. And when we executed that search warrant, our forensic division assists us with that.
Forensic technicians sprayed some luminol, and it was positive for a blood-like substance.
There was blood splatter seen on a radiator, in the cabinets near the sink, and some on the floor as well. There's a tremendous amount of blood showing up through these agents in her kitchen.
We begin to really realize that foul play is involved.
And although we don't have a body, as an investigator, that tells us that something definitely happened in that kitchen, and it appeared that somebody attempted to clean up a crime scene potentially.
He was more than a missing person. Now it was treated as more of a homicide.
Coming up, a harrowing discovery in the woods confirms detectives' worst fears.
Looks like a cavity. Taped up, legs are taped up.
And as the search for a killer intensifies, a deadly affair becomes the focus of the case.
She was a jealous female, and at that point they began planning her death.
More than a month after Rachel Sebet-Layla was reported missing by her boyfriend Galani Madongo, Traces of blood have been discovered in her apartment, suggesting that a violent attack occurred inside.
Once we see the amount of blood that's there, we're starting to lean more towards a homicide investigation at this point. But we don't have a body.
There weren't really any breaks in the case until September 12th.
Watertown Police Dispatch.
Okay. In Black Rock.
You're in Black Rock?
Yeah. I think I found a dead body.
Black Rock is located in Watertown, Connecticut. It's a town over from us here in Waterbury. The area is right off the highway.
It's a desolate area. There's not a lot of people around there.
Somebody walking in the woods believed he discovered human remains.
Watertown police call neighboring departments to see if they have any missing people, and that's why they called Waterbury PD.
We thought, is there a chance that this could be Rachel? So we sent major crime detectives out there.
You guys found something? Yeah. What did you see?
Legs, and you can see tell with the foot, like bone.
Like a person? Like a human?
Yeah.
And you called right away?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The body is discovered at the bottom of an embankment.
Bones. That's why I come down seeing if he wants to see some cuts.
Yeah.
It was wrapped in a series of blankets and black trash bags.
Looks like a human cavity. This is a shirt?
Yeah, taped up. Legs are
Taped up?
Okay. Yeah, legs are taped up.
It was badly decomposed. The hands were bound, the feet were bound.
The state of decomposition suggests that the body has been there for 2 months.
All right, I'm gonna pull out where the head would be. Oh yeah, it's definitely a skeleton.
We got there.
Oh yeah, it's human. I don't see a head.
I don't see a head, though.
There was no head attached to the torso.
They do a general search of the entire area, seeing if they could find additional remains. 30 or 40 feet away, they found the remains of her skull.
But it was badly decomposed, making it difficult to determine who the person could be. But one detective did recognize the fingernails.
During the course of the investigation, we recovered one of Rachel's iPads. And when we looked through the iPad, she had taken a selfie, and in that selfie, she had those exact same fake nails.
It was a very distinctive manicure. Her nails were painted in green and yellow.
So we had a strong feeling that it was Rachel.
The body was brought to the office of the chief medical examiner, and we were able to identify those remains as Rachel's.
So an autopsy was completed, and we determined that Rachel had suffered from multiple stab wounds. So we knew the death was horrific.
What was indicative of her being stabbed was that the shirt she had on her had 17 defects. And there's also a rib that was nicked, and there were cuts in her diaphragm. All this evidence indicated to law enforcement that she died in the apartment, and her body was dumped after that.
It's believed that the head was detached from animal activity.
Following the autopsy, detectives make the difficult call to Rachel's family in South Africa.
Rachel's family, once they learned of Rachel's death, they were obviously shocked, obviously saddened.
I heard about it at work, and we all broke down. We all started crying. We all started crying. You know, we were in complete shock. There will be no reason for her to be murdered.
When we see the results of the autopsy and we see how many times Rachel's stabbed, it's an indication that it's very personal and potentially a crime of passion.
So our thought was it was someone close to her.
Galani was a person of interest. He was the last person that had seen her. He had reported her missing.
When detectives call Galani in for questioning, they break the news of Rachel's death to him.
He was extremely upset at the circumstances that are disclosed.
Galani insists he had nothing to do with Rachel's murder. However, he does reveal one detail he had previously withheld from detectives.
He stated earlier in the year, he discovered that Rachel was having an affair with another individual, Miles Johnson.
They had met at a job. They both worked together and had struck up a relationship.
Galani found out about the initial affair through Rachel's telephone. Galani and Rachel spoke about it. Rachel told Galani that they were no longer seeing each other. But later in the year, Galani, through Rachel's phone, saw that there was still contact with Miles.
He had discovered text messages on her phone between Rachel and Miles, reconfirming they had started their relationship again.
He had an argument with Rachel, but he said that no matter what, he had still loved her and he was trying to make amends.
We're gathering all this information that's leading us to believe that Galani's responsible for what happened to Rachel.
With no direct evidence tying him to Rachel's death, police allow Galani to walk after he provides a written statement.
They felt that he was believable. Maybe he was, in fact, just a concerned boyfriend. So at this point in the investigation, we kind of put Galani on hold for a bit.
Detectives immediately turn their attention to Miles Johnson, the man with whom Rachel was allegedly having an affair.
Law enforcement is able to find Miles Johnson because they pull Rachel's call log, the last people that she was in contact with before she disappeared, and they find that the last number that she talked to was Miles Johnson.
So from there, we make contact with Miles Johnson, and he agrees to come in and speak with detectives.
It just turned our investigation into a different end.
Less than a week after 33-year-old Rachel Sebet-Leila's remains were found in a Connecticut state park, police have learned she was having an affair with her co-worker, Miles Johnson. On September 18th, detectives interview Miles.
We didn't give Miles any indication that Rachel was dead at the moment. I explained to him how we have concerns for Rachel, how she's been missing, and we're just wondering what he might know at this point.
And we start to learn a little bit more about some of the things that were going on in his life at that point in time.
The 22-year-old worked as a phlebotomist in Waterbury.
I started working with Miles in December of 2019 at the very end. We were mobile phlebotomists, so our job was to go in different locations and take blood samples from people. You get to meet all sorts of new people, and he was a very personable person. Miles got along with everybody. He just had this presence, and he actually had wanted to eventually become a doctor.
While Miles began to work there, we all kind of will congregate together during certain social activities inside the facility. So it was a time to really get to know him. His mother was from Jamaica, and his father was Spanish.
He was a pretty cool guy, actually. Very fun to talk to. He was an all-around pretty likable guy. And he was an attractive young man. And the other phlebotomists, they fawned over him when he started.
Miles and Rachel started out as friends. It was never anything serious in the beginning. And as time went on, the communication intensified.
Their work relationship evolved into a sexual relationship.
She liked Miles. She liked where it was going. Rachel was older than Miles, so she would make a joke and says, okay, my young thing is calling me.
In February of 2020, he said to me that he was trying to find something, that he wanted to get this particular girl something for Valentine's Day. And I says, oh, I didn't know you had a girlfriend. And he says, no, we're just kind of seeing each other. But she has another guy, and this guy is kind of a jerk, and he keeps trying to get between us.
Miles Johnson was having a relationship with Rachel, but he too had a girlfriend at the time, while Rachel was obviously in a dating relationship with Galani.
So Miles Johnson and Cassandra Nazario were dating for a period of time, maybe over the course of a couple years.
It seems like, Miles was trying to cover his tracks, trying to maybe keep his relationships open with both women.
So we asked him if he had any kind of contact with Rachel around July 10th, July 11th. And that's when he indicates that on July 10th, he was caught by Galani Madongo. On that day, Galani reached out to him and began to tell him how he found out about the relationship. And then Miles acknowledged making a phone call to Rachel at midnight, but he denied being at Rachel's apartment around that time or even being in the area.
When detectives reveal that Rachel has been found murdered, Miles is seemingly taken off guard.
He was shocked, so there wasn't too much suspicion. He was cooperative.
He denied any involvement in Rachel's murder.
At this point, we just don't have too much information that would point us in the direction of Miles. So we eventually reach out to his girlfriend, Cassandra, because we know that there seems to be some sort of love triangle, and she's involved in it.
She went down to the police department voluntarily, and they asked her about herself.
23-year-old Cassandra Nazario was born and raised in the Bronx.
Cassandra really never got in trouble. She was an exceptional student. She was like a bubbly person. She's really funny, very playful, very curious, and free. And as an adult, she was just wanting to be successful and help people. So she got into healthcare. She started working as a certified nurse's assistant.
Both Miles Johnson and Cassandra Nazario were working together.
I did not know Cassandra very well. She did not work alongside me or Rachel. She was new into the mix.
I first heard about Miles when she came and brought him over and we met him. And he was quiet, but Cassandra seemed happy. I think she was in love, or her interpretation was of being in love, and she enjoyed being in the relationship with him.
When detectives ask Cassandra about her boyfriend's affair with Rachel, Cassandra admits she knew.
Cassandra explains to detectives that Galani had reached out to her and, told her that, listen, there's an affair going on with your boyfriend and my girlfriend.
She seemed to be very upset at Miles because she stated to me that she was a very good girlfriend to him.
Detectives asked her about her involvement in this, and she denied any involvement, and she actually gave an alibi to Miles Johnson, saying they were home watching movies the night Rachel went missing.
So at that point in time, we kind of left it at that with her.
In order to eliminate the two men in Rachel's life as persons of interest, detectives subpoena both Miles and Galani's phone records.
They received information about location data from those phone records.
Technology has advanced so far in investigations over the last several years that, it's able to pinpoint humans wherever they are.
Galani's cell phone records indicated that he was not near Waterbury at the time. We believe that this occurred.
Cell phone data from his cell phone showed that he never left Staten Island. After that, Rachel's boyfriend was quickly ruled out.
However, when detectives review Miles's location data, they discover that he had in fact visited Rachel's apartment the night she disappeared.
At around midnight, July 10, we see his location going from Rachel's apartment right down to the area of Black Rock State Park where the remains were found.
Officers at that point believed that he was much more involved than he was initially indicating.
Coming up, a suspect breaks under interrogation.
He states that she becomes very aggressive. At one point, she's trying to hit him, and then at another point, he states she grabs a knife.
And as the pressure mounts, lovers begin to turn on each other.
They were really trying to point the finger at each other.
God is the only judge. But in life, you have to pay for your...
Detectives have discovered evidence that 22-year-old Miles Johnson was likely the last person to see Rachel Sebet Layla alive before she went missing in July 2020.
The night that she goes missing, Miles' cell phone puts him at Rachel's apartment. And then during that night, his cell phone also pings near the area of Black Rock State Park, where the body was recovered. It's a strong evidence to suggest that Miles was involved in Rachel's murder.
On September 23rd, detectives bring Miles in for a second round of questioning.
I ask him about having something more to do with Rachel the night of July 10 into the 11th, and he was just adamant that he did not see her, he wasn't there. It was right around 4 hours of the interview, I eventually have to start confronting him with what we found on his cell phone.
Detectives were showing he was near the area where the body was dumped.
His response is that someone either hacked his phone or took his phone. It couldn't be him.
It's not probable that your cell phone was hacked and they decided to input locations where human remains were found. So he has no real answer for any of the serious questions that I'm asking him. He's just really deflecting.
Eventually, towards the very end of the interview, he said he might have taken a romantic drive with his girlfriend out to that location, but he didn't really recall. And then shortly thereafter, he invoked his right to remain silent and chose not to speak any further.
So with the facts and circumstances we had up to this point, especially the technology aspect of it, the cell phone, we were able to secure an arrest warrant for Miles.
So at that point in time, he was served with his arrest warrant and he was sent to our booking area. Miles' reaction was really non-existent. He didn't have a, hey, that's not me, I didn't do it. He didn't have a upset reaction.
The following morning, while he's in the holding area, he sees me and he asks to speak with me again.
He wants to share some more information on Rachel and what happened to her.
So I bring him back to an interview room and I talk with him. Now during this interview is when he really starts to get Cassandra involved in the homicide.
Miles was kind of laying out how Cassandra was extremely upset at the circumstances that are disclosed to her about, the intimate relationship that Miles is having with Rachel.
So Miles tells me that right around midnight on July 10th, him and Cassandra Nazario go to Rachel's apartment, and he just wanted to talk to her about the relationship, kind of break it off and try to smooth everything over. He states Cassandra was waiting on the steps just outside the door. He states that when he confronts Rachel and he's having this conversation, she becomes very aggressive. And at one point, she's trying to hit him, and then at another point, he states she grabs a knife. Miles tries to tell me that him and Rachel are now struggling over this knife. And then he tells me that during this struggle, he describes Rachel kind of plunging the knife into her own neck. When he's telling me this, I'm not even remotely believing it, but I'm just letting him go on with it. You know, sometimes it's better to just let them keep talking and they're just gonna dig their own hole. Eventually, Cassandra comes into the apartment as well.
Mr. Johnson said Cassandra Nazario had come up into the apartment, and while Rachel was suffering from her knife wound, Cassandra had stabbed her several times and killed her. So Mr. Johnson tried to lay the blame of the murder completely at the feet of Cassandra Nazario. And he said she was a jealous female and was jealous of Rachel, and for that reason she had killed her.
Once Rachel is clearly dead, him and Cassandra proceed to tie her hands and feet together, and she was then wrapped in a series of black plastic bags and blankets. From there, they cleaned up the apartment and went to Black Rock State Park.
After Miles finishes his story, he's returned to lockup.
When I heard Miles was arrested, it was really shocking because he didn't give off the abusive, aggressive vibes, the type of person who you would consider to be a murderer. We couldn't believe, because all of us worked alongside Miles and Rachel. So it was a little bit strange.
Learning this new information that Miles provided to us, now Cassandra, he's in deep water. He has just, implicated her in this crime that really is involving him and his relationship with Rachel. So detectives were able to apprehend her, bring her back into the police department, interview her.
Detectives confront Cassandra with Miles's story.
She responds that she felt very much betrayed by him. She felt that she was the type of girlfriend who gave him everything over the years and he really gave her nothing back. So Cassandra stated that she wasn't taking the fall for it.
I believe her words are, I don't want to go down for this. And at this point, she tells officers her version of events.
In September of 2020, Connecticut detectives are investigating the murder of Rachel Sebit Layla. and talking to 23-year-old Cassandra Nazario for the second time.
She indicated that she was not going to take the hit for what Miles Johnson had done, and then she gave a different version of events.
On July 10th, 2020, Rachel's boyfriend, Galani, calls Cassandra after he finds out about Rachel and Miles' affair.
When Cassandra found out about that, it fueled a lot of jealousy, it fueled a lot of hurt for her.
Cassandra says she confronted Miles immediately, which led to an explosive argument.
Her and Miles were having an argument based on Miles still being with Rachel.
She says they went for a drive to cool down later that night.
She stated that she wasn't aware that they were going to Rachel's at the time, but they end up outside of an apartment building, which turns out to be Rachel's.
Miles Johnson had gone to confront Rachel and tell him they were breaking up.
Then she follows Miles up the stairs to Rachel's apartment. She stated that Miles then went into the apartment.
She tells detectives that she initially does not go in the apartment.
She was waiting outside and she heard screaming and struggling.
Cassandra then states that she eventually hears the arguing stop, which makes her a little curious. And so she goes up to the door, and when she opens it up, she sees Rachel on the ground, Miles on top of her, with a knife in his hand.
She sees that Rachel has been stabbed.
There was just blood everywhere within the kitchen.
She indicated that Mr. Johnson told her to get a pillow because Rachel was still gurgling. She brought the pillow over to Miles Johnson and that he had finished killing her by suffocating her.
She claims to be in shock, now realizing that there's not much she could do. So she agrees then to help clean up and dispose of the body.
Cassandra tells us that her and Miles carry Rachel's body down the stairs to his SUV. Cassandra tells us that they drive out to Black Rock. Rachel is then dragged to the guardrails, and then she is pushed underneath the guardrails down an embankment into the woods. Cassandra states that once the body was dumped over at Black Rock, the two of them stop at a gas station. It was either for cigarettes or food in some capacity. And then from there, they go back to Miles Johnson's house, where they proceed to take off all their clothes, some of the cleaning supplies they use, and they burn them in a fire pit in his backyard. I have no reason to believe that she's not being truthful because the details were very gruesome. She didn't seem to really be holding anything back.
Once we learn of Cassandra's disclosures to detectives about her role in the homicide, we secured an arrest warrant for her, so she's, brought to court and she's arraigned.
Even though she didn't commit the crime, she was part of the crime, so Cassandra is still charged with Rachel's murder.
I really couldn't believe it. And, I know a lot of sometimes things happen outside of our control, but I was devastated. I didn't eat, I didn't sleep. The first time I spoke with her, I feel like it was that night that I got the call they gave her. And I was hysterical, she was hysterical. And I just told her I'm gonna hire her an attorney.
In a case of he said, she said, authorities know that obtaining a conviction against both Cassandra and Miles may not be easy.
You got to make a deal with somebody, because juries are tricky and it's a chance you're taking.
At that point, offers were made for pleading guilty. Those offers were rejected by Mr. Johnson. His case was scheduled for trial, but Cassandra Nazario's attorney had indicated a willingness to cooperate with the state against Miles Johnson. At that time, we thought her only involvement was when she went into the apartment. She had gotten a pillow and given it to Miles Johnson, and then Miles Johnson had done all of the killing. So we were willing at that point to make a cooperation agreement where she'd still be punished on her manslaughter and use her testimony against Miles Johnson. When we met with Cassandra Nazario, the first thing we talk about in any cooperation agreement is you have to be completely truthful and completely honest. If you're not truthful and honest, we cannot use you, we will not use you.
At that point, she tells us her final version of what happened.
And I think then, her mind started.
After arresting Cassandra Nazario and Miles Johnson for the murder of Rachel Sebet Layla, authorities offer Cassandra a cooperation agreement in exchange for the truth. Cassandra tells prosecutors that it all started when Galani told her about Miles and Rachel's affair on July 10th. She alleges he also dropped 2 more bombshells.
Galani started telling Cassandra things like Rachel's pregnant with Miles' baby.
Cassandra, I guess, had been trying to get pregnant, but just wasn't able to. So this was extremely hurtful to Cassandra. She wanted so bad to start a family with Miles.
And at some point he said that Rachel may have transmitted to them a sexually transmitted disease.
According to Cassandra, this detail in particular made Miles furious.
They were upset about this, and that was their reason. Mr. Johnson decided that Rachel, quote, she must die. And at that point, they began planning her death that day. They had gone to several different stores that day, buying stuff to clean up the crime scene and to dispose of the body.
And they buy knives, they buy black clothing, and at night, they go to Rachel's house.
Miles Johnson went in first. He had a struggle with her. He stabbed her. At that point, Mr. Johnson involved Mr. Zario in the murder. He said, I want you to stab her. Mr. Zario said, I did.
She indicated that she proceeded to stab her multiple times.
We had told her she had to be honest, and she was, that she had been equally culpable in the killing. This was certainly new information we had, and based on that, we couldn't really make a deal with her for a manslaughter. There was no way we could not prosecute her for murder, since she's as equally involved as Miles Johnson. We had conversations with her lawyer after that. He agreed to plead guilty to murder, and she would testify against Miles Johnson.
So after we get this information from Cassandra, we take another look at the cell phone records.
And those phone records corroborated Cassandra's version, where they had gone to different stores that day.
In April 2023, Miles Johnson's case goes to trial.
During the trial, Miles was really trying to point the finger at Cassandra being the ringleader of the entire incident.
The nature of Mr. Johnson's defense was that Mr. Johnson was a victim of circumstance and that Rachel actually stabbed herself in the neck and that Cassandra Nazario had come in and killed her because she was jealous.
Miles definitely did blame it all on her. And I just thought, you're not taking any accountability. And she definitely took accountability for her role.
I think the primary motive in this case was that Miles Johnson and Cassandra Nazario were under the impression that Rachel may be pregnant and that there may be a sexually transmitted disease that was passed on to them.
When in fact, the autopsy confirmed Rachel was not pregnant.
And she didn't have a sexually transmitted disease.
I can only speak in my opinion that Miles and Cassandra must have had a tumultuous relationship prior to this happening. And when things like this happen, there's an affair involved and there's emotions involved. It doesn't take much to set these little things off and start a storm.
So Cassandra Nazario testified as to all the involvement she had, Mr. Johnson had, and then that was corroborated by the ME reports, the cuts in the clothes, the cell phone data records. We put on the best case we possibly could, but until they come back and say guilty, you're always going to be nervous about it.
In late April, the trial concludes.
The jury was out for about 10 hours, and the verdict was guilty on all counts against Miles Johnson. Miles Johnson was sentenced on August 2nd, 2023 to 55 years.
On August 14th, Cassandra Nazario was sentenced on the murder charge she had pled guilty to. She received a sentence of 25 years, which was the mandatory minimum sentence in Connecticut.
God is the only judge. But in life, you have to pay for your consequences. Someone lost their life, you need to be in jail.
You know, it's a terrible, tragic event, but in my opinion, justice was served in this case.
Rachel was young, she was full of life. There was no reason to have taken hers for Rachel, there's just so much memories of Rachel that I just can't pick one. There really isn't. She was a great person.